Here we are, back at it again. Another night, another video. And check this out. Welcome. Welcome to the show. If you're watching this on Facebook, give it a like, hit that follow button. If not, that must mean you're on YouTube. So again, give it a like and hit that subscribe button. All right. Now, what we talking about today? We talking about my first year in the army. First year in the army, right?
What's your sole purpose in this army?
Crazy times, crazy time. I finished one contract, headed to the next, and we're gonna keep rocking out like that, right? So what I want to just do is break it down from three basic things, and I'm gonna talk about basic training, AIT, and then I'm gonna go to my first duty station. All right, and I'm gonna give y'all my perspective now. Real quick, a little bit about why I want to talk about this is because I see a lot of people posting videos, or I have seen a lot of people posting videos about why you should not join the army, um, how their army experience was, why it didn't work out for them, and a lot of more things like that, right? A lot more things like that. And to be honest, this is my perspective. A lot of people coming in, they are not well researched. They're not very informed about the decision they're making, and they're just making a decision on the fly, right? And while I'm not mad at people for trying to escape a bad situation and come into something greater, and while I do respect everybody else's reasons for joining, this is my thing. If it doesn't go your way, if you don't have the experience you wanted to in the military, if it was a negative experience, I feel like as a fighting force and as a nation, we shouldn't be putting that out there for the public to see, right? If they're civilians, like paint this thing in the good light. All the bad things that happen, take it in stride, run with it. But to put us on blast and be talking so negatively about the military out to the public, I don't think that's a good idea. Without further ado, I'm gonna jump right into the topic today, and I'm gonna get started. All right, so let's talk about it. Basic training.
I have 8 weeks to turn you gaggle of maggots into a well-disciplined cadet unit.
Basically, how it went for me, right? I had been working in my civilian job, whether that be corporate America or whatever y'all want to call it. I had been working in my civilian job, and I was just getting bored. I'm sitting at an office all day. I'm sitting at a desk in front of a computer screen. And while I was okay, I was fine. I was essential, so I had a job during the whole bug or whatever that came out when everybody got sick back in 2019, 2020. I had a job during this time. I was essential. So it's not like I was starving or I was hurting for anything. But at the same time, I kept thinking like this can't be it for me. There's got to be something greater. While I was working towards certain things in my civilian job, I was like, is this really what I want? To wake up and come and sit at a desk in front of a screen every single day? And I was like, no. And I wanted a hard skill to really build my resume and build my life upon and do these things. And I wanted to do some hard. I was doing boxing during the time, scheduling my first matches and things like that around some heavyweights who was winning championships and training with some really good people, like some trainers that professional boxers have trained with. And I was getting decent. I'm not gonna say I was getting good, but I was getting decent. So I was like, what's next for me? I want to try something that I could go do in um when I'm done with this part of my life that I have no regrets about. And that's what kind of led me to want to join, right? I had already had my degree, already had a house, already had cars. I was already established, is what I'm saying. So it's not like I was escaping a bad situation or I was running away from something. It was me in search of something greater, right? In search of a greater challenge. And that's what led me to it. I watched a bunch of special forces videos. I watched a bunch of ranger videos, and I was thinking, watching these people who are the tip of the spear, like, man, what if I could become one of them? Even at the late age I was, right? Like, yeah, I was pretty old for when I joined, but nonetheless, I still did it. So, I went through MEPS a bunch of times. I had to get a bunch of different waivers, and I think like the third time I went to MEPS they was telling me, "Oh, you got to come back and do this," or you got to come back and do this. And I was like, "Listen, I'm gonna tell y'all straight up. If I got to come back here one more time to Montgomery, Alabama, I'm not joining. And at that point, they was like, all right, let's continue with your paperwork, right? Had the airborne status, but they told me Alaska was a choice, and I was not hearing that. So I was like, yeah, no, I'm straight on that airborne. Like I want zero chance of going to Alaska, y'all. I do not do well in the cold. So I wasn't trying to hear it. Initially I wanted to join as a 25 Bravo, which is like an IT specialist, I think. But then I end up seeing the construction and me working with my uncle who was a former Marine and just doing construction with him. I was like, okay, I could do this, right? I could learn this. I could see myself doing this, and this is something I could do on the outside if I get good at it. So I chose that. Now, leading all the way up to that, of course, you got to do the physical aspect. They had us do like physical tests, but then, man, let me just shout out my recruiter, man. She's retired now, and I'm not gonna call her name, but you know who you are. Thank you so much. She was phenomenal, right? And even at a certain point, she was like, "You passed all the physical tests. Like you good. We're not worried about you. Like we're gonna get you boots on the ground. We're gonna get all your waivers. We're gonna get stuff good. We're gonna get stuff handled, and you're gonna be all right." And not being funny, she came through every step of the way. She did everything she was supposed to do, everything she said she was going to do. They did that. So the recruiting station in Hoover, Alabama, I don't know if the same people there, but shout out to y'all from E7 all the way down to E6, man. So I appreciate that. But yeah, going to basic, what was that experience like, right? That experience was extremely unique. First of all, let's talk about that bald head. I had watched so many YouTube videos and heard so many perspectives from TikTok and all these other different social media platforms that I was kind of hip to into what I was going into, right? I was kind of hip to it. So me thinking I'm smart, I go to basic with a bald head. Let me tell y'all something. They're gonna give you that Eagle Cash card. They're gonna give you all them BS shoes and all that other stuff that they're gonna get to y'all. And they still gonna make you get a haircut, bro. That was not it. Um, the other thing I had shaved before with a razor, but going there, trying to comply with all the hundreds or thousands of different rigs and laws and rules that they got that we have. My bad. Nah, that wasn't it neither. So the shaving thing, my face breaking out, I'm around here scratching and burning every day on my face. Pause, bro. I know y'all was gonna try to go somewhere with that, but on my face, that wasn't it neither. But soon, the drill sergeants they'll start doing their thing, helping me out with that. Now, this is what I'm gonna say. You got like three phases of it. You got the red phase, white phase, blue phase, and then you got what is it like? Like it's like an orientation. Like you stay. I went to Fort Jackson, so we was there for like a week in processing and doing all this other stuff. That wasn't it neither, bro. You standing in a lunch line for like an hour in silence with a bald head in the heat. Yeah, it wasn't it, brother. I'm gonna tell you like that straight up. That wasn't it. But nevertheless, I made do with what I had. Now entering it, the red phase, you get issued all your clothes and stuff. That was decent. I didn't have an issue with that. I didn't have a problem with that. The yelling not being funny, man. If y'all African American and you come from a family or you had parents like mine, the yelling, the being hard on you, that didn't really bother me. So to be honest, like being completely honest, man, I had a great time in basic. I had a great time at basic. For me, it was like summer camp. Now you gonna have the people that's gonna have it rough. You gonna have the people that's gonna be like it's gonna be hard for them. They struggling with it. I wasn't one of them. I was significantly older than all the other trainees there. I came in a specialist. That's another story. And I had already had a sports background, so I was straight, right? Um, in Fort Jackson, in Delta Company 213. Yeah, Delta Company 213. It was that. I'm not gonna lie. Like physically wise, yeah. Now mentally, bruh. You did all right. Check this out. I'm gonna just say that I was 10 years older than the youngest trainee when I was there. So you can see how that would go. But it was a great time, right? It was a great time. Learned a lot about myself as far as like me running distances. I had never like sprinted all out for my. I had never like ran 2 miles all at once around the track. Calisthenics, I've never been into calisthenics. I don't like it at all. I'm just gonna be honest. I'd rather push them weights all day before I do one push-up. I'm not lying at all. I do 1,000 bench presses before I do 20 push-ups. It's just not my thing. But came in and I killed the game. So I really wasn't tripping on that. Now the experiences that you're gonna have in basic are some that you're gonna remember for the rest of your life. For you young guys and girls, it's gonna be things that you remember for the rest of your life, right? I'm not gonna go into how to prepare and all that other different stuff because, like I say, I was 10 years older than the youngest trainee, so it's way different, right? Um, but just my basic experience, it was beautiful. I had great drill sergeants. Like one was a Marine sniper, one was air assault and airborne. Another one had his he was in the Ranger bat. So these guys was amazing, man, and helped me out a lot when I told them my goals and what I wanted to do and things like that. They were extremely helpful, right? Now they gonna be hard on you, but like I said, I come from a family like that. I'm used to that. I'm hard on myself. That ain't really bother me. I didn't really have a lot of problems. But throughout the different phases and things like that, the main issue was like all the mental gymnastics and the games that's being played. Like to me, it's just uncalled for. I don't care, and I'm still in. Like, it's just uncalled for. I like. I feel like it's a better way to do it. I get they trying to make us in the soldiers, but maybe just because I was older, right? It ain't sit well with me. But that's besides the point. But nonetheless, man, I had a great time. So that was basic. I'm not gonna tell y'all all the different stories. That's another video. If y'all want to hear about that, you can drop a like or you can drop it in the comments, right? So that was basic, basically, man. The red, white, and blue phase. You do all the field events, you do all the other BS that you go through dealing with younger people or dealing with older people or dealing with drill sergeants. You know, you're gonna go there, you're gonna learn how to be a soldier, you're gonna learn all the basics, and you're gonna do your thing, man. You're gonna come out, you're gonna be all right. It's basically what I'm saying. For all my young people out there, 17, 18, or if you're younger thinking about this as a career field, you're gonna be all right. Just go there, pay attention, listen, learn, execute. Like it's that simple. It ain't gonna sound like that simple when you first get there, but it's that simple, right? All right, so let's move on. So y'all, AIT. You graduate basic, it's family day. You have a beautiful day with your family, whoop de doo. And then you move on to advanced individual training, which is AIT, right? Better known as AIT. Now, me, because my military occupational specialty is a 12 November, which is a horizontal construction engineer. I went to Fort Leonard Wood or Fort Lost in the Woods, or I ain't gonna say what we call it, but my understanding and my level of understanding, my IQ, my consciousness, my common sense, my intelligence, my capabilities was like way beyond what we trying to do in the basics, right? I know it's AIT, I get it. But the job outside of all the other stuff you have to do in AIT is just it wasn't for me, bro. It wasn't for me. Like, and not just me being honest. I've been disciplined my whole life. I don't need somebody micromanaging me. I don't need somebody telling me what to do at all times of the day. That's just what it is. You're gonna have to. Like you sign that contract, you here now, you gonna have to do it. But for me in AIT, I just felt like I ain't gonna say that neither. But check this out. You're gonna have courses. So for us, we had I think like 8 or 9 courses. Sometimes you take tests, but majority of the time you at course, you learning the job, you implement all the different safety procedures. They telling you got your PPE, making sure all that's good. You good, and you going PT. You're gonna take some PT, you're gonna take some PT tests, and you're gonna do all of those things. But this is what I like about basic and AIT. They provide opportunities for you to stand out, right? And you get a chance to win awards. Now, me specifically, because I was older and because I had already been through a lot of these things and did a lot of these things, like in football, collegiate wise, um, I basically, was kind of like told, like advised to take a back seat, let the young guys kind of enjoy this, which I wasn't mad at because I'm like, man, I'm about to be. I ain't finna say that neither. I got you, but yeah, let these young guys get their shine on, man. Uh, it was a lot of National Guard people in AIT with me, which I didn't understand. But I mean, it's basic. We all got to be here. Like it's the basics. We all got to do this. But yeah, man, you're gonna have people like saying they miss their family and they ready to go home and all those different things. But AIT is basically mainly where you learn your job. And I'm not gonna lie, for me, the first time operating heavy construction equipment, I had a blast. Like as far as course go. Now outside of course, I just blanked out. I'm just gonna be honest. I just listened to what they said, did I just blanked out. But it's a teeny bit more lenient than basic, right? The drill songs ain't up your butt all the time. They still gonna be on you. Now don't get it twisted. They still gonna be on you, but it ain't as bad as basic because they're trusting you to be somewhat of a soldier now. You're still learning, you're still implementing all these things you learned in basic, but they're trusting you to take everything you learn and still implement it. So the marching, the being in line, the being in formation, the being able to be quiet and have things ready and be on time. Those simple basic things you really should have learned in elementary school. They still expecting you to have all these things as a soldier. But it's not as bad as basic. It's decent, bro. But what I liked about it was basically going to course. That was the best experience for me, right? And the instructors at course, phenomenal. Had a great time. Had a marvelous time, right? I was testing out in like 2 or 3 days. Majority of the times we went just to get, like I said, the younger guys, let them get experience and do their thing. But I had fun, man. And they told us straight up, like most of this equipment that you're dealing with, like in our job, you're never gonna see it again. So have fun. And that's exactly what I did. I worked hard, I had fun, and outside, of course, it is what it is, man. It is what it is. So that leads me all the way up to my first duty station, y'all. I ain't gonna lie, ain't for the weak. It ain't for the weak, bro. So check this out. You get to your first duty station. Now, this is why I got lost, because I'm not gonna lie. Fort Bliss is huge. It is big. Like compared to all the other bases you will go to, Fort Bliss is astronomical in size compared to the other ones, right? And it's a lot of different things you have to do when you in processing. You got to meet new people. You got to get acclimated to new people in the environment and things like that. Um, and I was a single soldier, so I'm in the barracks. Like I wasn't tripping too much on that. I had a cool roommate. Shout out to my dog Kixie. But yeah, man, it's gonna be a lot of changes, and it's gonna be a lot thrown at you very fast. So arriving to my duty station, there was a lot of things that I just didn't know. They was expecting me to know, but I just didn't know. And there's like, let me just be honest, bro. Like for some reason, and I'm gonna say this, and I don't care if I get in trouble for it or whatever. But you older guys who've been doing this for a long time, y'all think everybody's stupid and y'all the only ones that's smart. For some strange reason, y'all think that like y'all the subject matter experts of everything in the army, right? At least that's how it came off when I got there. And because I didn't know certain things, they was kind of acting like that. And especially because I'm older. But I'm like, goofball, if I put you in my civilian job and told you to do what I was doing, and I gave you a week or 24 hours to know all this stuff, I guarantee you would be lost too, right? So that was the issue I had arriving at my first duty station. They was expecting me to know stuff I didn't know. You know what I'm saying? Like when you in processing in your first duty station that first week that you there in the I call them holding houses, in the little things, the barracks that you is before you go to your unit. Um, you not learning all this stuff. Like you doing the same stuff you did in AIT and basic. You lining up in formation in the morning, you doing PT, you going to lunch, you doing all your tasks throughout the day, sitting through classes or whatever. You don't really know what it's gonna be like when you get to that unit, right? So when you get there, you still gotta do more learning. You still gotta do more adapting. And that's kind of how I was. Because I know coming from a civilian and especially coming from High Rock is way different from how the military is. Like a total 180. Like almost everything about myself I had to change when I entered the military. So That was my only issue. But yeah, Fort Bliss, it ain't for the weak, big dog. It is not for the weak. But if you get stationed at Fort Bliss, I ain't finna necessarily say like you doomed, right? I ain't finna say that at all because I've had some great times. I've participated in competitions. I've did almost every single detail you can think of while at Fort Bliss in my first contract. And I made some amazing friends along the way, went overseas, NTC, all that stuff, man. Training events, did projects. Like, I'm not gonna say that my first duty station in my first year in the army was bad. I can't say that because um it's just a lot being thrown at you. And I think for the younger guys, like it's overwhelming. It wasn't overwhelming for me, but the thing was for me, since I'm at a certain age and I'm already stuck in my ways somewhat, the adapt me having to adapt so fast was a lot different, right? And it's not that I'm a disrespectful person. It's not that I'm a hothead. It's not that I don't learn fast or I don't acclimate well or I don't get along well with others. It's just that I just think it was the age, man. And that a lot of the lower level basic stuff that I felt like my understanding is above it. Like I had to switch and not being funny. I had to come down to that level and be like, okay, like just you know what I'm saying, just fall in line. Like, let's be honest, bro. Be humble, come in, fall in line, play all the stupid games, do all the stupid stuff, do all that, right? And like I said, I came in as a specialist. So I guess like to a person seeing that at first glance, not knowing you, they think you have prior military experience or they think you've been in somewhat of a while, right? Especially if you're a specialist at my age, looking how I look, and then you come to a duty station. So that may be why they expected me to know all these things until they really found out, like, bro, I only been on the army for like 5 months. Like I did basic AIT. I went home for HRAP because my grandmother passed away and then I came to my unit. Like, so I'm green. I didn't do JRO. I mean, what it is, ROTC. I don't come from a military family. Like, it wasn't big in my high school. I didn't know anything except what I seen on YouTube. I didn't know nothing. And this is me being 100% honest. But um throughout that first year, I just knew I had to adapt and I had to adapt quick because a lot of the let me choose my words wisely. A lot of the customs, a lot of the traditions, a lot of the way people carry themselves, a lot of the what's the word I'm looking, the bravado that people have. It was taking me for a loop. I ain't gonna lie. It was kind of confusing me and it was baffling me that people were like this. So I had to adapt fast because I'm not used to that, right? I'm not used to certain things that happen and there's no reaction for it, right? I'm not used to certain things happening, there's no consequences for it. Like I told you, I'm very structured, I'm very disciplined, I'm very organized, and I come from this and I've been living my life like this since I can remember. So it's a lot of things that I didn't understand that I had to come to understand, right? So just be prepared for that. I'm not saying that's everybody, but I'm saying just be prepared for things like that. But all in all, yeah, man, that first year in the army, especially after AIT, getting to my first duty station, it was a challenge. I was looking for a challenge and I got that challenge. Not physically, not mentally, just I would say more spiritually. So like like I said, I had to adapt to to, to fit the mold of what a soldier is, of what the military is looking for, of what people expect of you as a soldier, not as a person. Because me personally, or me as a civilian, like I believe that any of my old bosses even tell you, like, I'm square business. I ain't saying I was the best at every job. I ain't saying I was legendary or I was a one in a million. But what I am saying is, if I'm on your team, you know you straight, like 100%. I'm super reliable. I'm on time. I'm well organized. I'm well prepared, overly prepared sometimes. And when I put my mind to something, I go all in, right? I'm dedicated, I'm committed. So I wanted to bring that same energy to this, right? As far as those aspects, as far as those character traits. Now, it's other things that I had to build upon and that I had to learn and that I had to implement in my life to get to where I am and to be where I'm at now. But again, that's another discussion for another day. But yeah, that's all, man. Like my first year in the army, yeah, and everybody first year in the army kind of the same, man. You got basic, you got AIT, you might go to airborne school or air assault, something like that. You might go to a school, and then it's that first duty station. So everybody experiences is going to be different. It's not going to be the same. But within that, there's so much that you learn, especially for I would say for the younger guys. There's so much that you learn, right? And we got a group chat. All the guys, I don't really talk any much because not being funny, we just on different levels, right? That's not me putting myself above anybody, but like I say, it's a huge age difference, and just because I already had so much established before I joined the military, it's just a big gap in life, right? And so, but I keep up with everybody and I listen to what they speak about and the things they're experiencing and the things that we talk about. And I see like it's not much of a difference. Like everybody first year was the almost the exact same, except for location, right? Especially in our job. So that's all I wanted to come to y'all tonight about, y'all. Just talking a little bit about my first year in the army. Now, if you want to hear some stories, you want to hear some experiences that I had, you want to hear about, the different mentalities that I had to really shift to while I was in the military or developing or going throughout my contract, then you can drop that down in the comments. You can let me know. That's a different video for a different day. I just wanted to keep it brief and come and chop it up with y'all about that. Now, I have nothing more for y'all. Y'all have a great day. I'm out.